Latest football news, engaging debates,
and fascinating opinions.
Pitchside talk on IO Radio. So kicking off the games for Sunday, it is Wolverhampton versus Brighton, and for Wolves, Woody Body, he is still out. He is suffering from the long-term effects of COVID-19, so we wish him a very speedy recovery to be back on the pitch very soon. Pedro Neto, Johnny, Marcel, and Raul Jimenez are still on the sidelines for Wolves, so Nuno is going to pick some different players here. But for Brighton, Adam Lallana's calf injury will keep him out for this game, and there's no more injury news to report here for Brighton. Piers, Wolves, they drawed last time out. Brighton, they got that win against Leeds here. For them, really, again, another win here to get to that 40-point mark, get to that sort of safety zone, like what we can say, really, always say, get to 40 points to safety, really. But for the Wolves here, they want to just end this little bad run of patch form they're on and get another victory here.
Yeah, Wolves, I think they've had a terrible season, which hasn't really been their fault. They've had some, real terrible, injuries and a lot of players really suffering from COVID. So they've had a really hard season, and their last two games have been terrible, really. They got slapped by Burnley 4-0, and obviously a draw against West Brom. For a team like Wolves, they should be beating both of them. On the other hand, Brighton, they look like they're in all right form within their last three. Okay, they've lost one, but they got a draw against Chelsea and got a win against Leeds. So it's looking promising for Brighton. I think Brighton have played good football all season, to be honest. Then they may have not got the results, a bit like Fulham, but they're never an easy team to play. And to be honest, I think Brighton will build on from this. I think Wolves, they're just begging for this season to be over now, so they can try and rebuild for next year. So I think Brighton will get the win. I'll just go for a 1-0.
So there's Aston Villa versus Manchester United today, and for Aston Villa, still some bad news from Jack Grealish. He's going to be out now for the 12th successive game, but he could possibly return very soon. We'll have to wait and see. He may return in the next game. Also, Morgan Sanson, he is still absent with a knee problem. But for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, his side, he has no new injury reports to report after beating Roma in the semi-finals of the Europa League on Thursday. But he is expecting to make some rotation, as he has got 4 games in 8 days. Ouch. But that's the perks of the Premier League, But Piers here, Aston Villa, they won last time out. They got a hard-fought victory against Everton. But for Man U here, a win here, and we can say realistically they will secure top 4 by mathematically here. But for them, it's just about just having a strong end to the season, really.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really exciting game. I normally quite like watching the games between Villa and Man United. It's normally good, very talented players. Villa, obviously, good opportunity for them to go above Arsenal. That'd be a huge statement for them. I just think, imagine where they could have been if they had Grealish back. It's such a shame that he's missed so many games for them, and by the time he comes back, there's not much difference he can make. Man United, on the other hand, it looks like the camp there is brilliant. Obviously, I mean they didn't actually win the game itself, obviously against Roma during the week, but overall they absolutely blitzed them on aggregate. So it's great for them, and Ollie's broken that curse, and now they're off to the final. So Premier League wise, I don't imagine they're going to be too bothered, to be honest. Obviously, they've got a lot of games in a short period of time. Ollie's going to have to put some rotation in. I'd imagine he may start at this game and work it through. So, I think it's going to be a hard game for Man United come this week. I think Villa are going to want this. I think they're going to want to put a statement for next season and try and attract some players. So, I think it'll be a draw. I'm just going to go for a 1-1.
So there's West Ham versus Everton today. And for West Ham, Declan Rice, he is back in training, but this game has just come too soon for him, but he will be back very soon, according to Dave Moyes. And Cresswell and Antonio have both returned from the hamstring problems that he picked up in the 2-1 victory over Burnley on a Monday. But for Everton, Doucouré, he's in contention to play for the first time since fracturing his foot on last March, but he should be back. When James Rodriguez, he still remains out with his calf problem here. Piers here for West Ham, they just got to keep up picking up victories to see if they can push into this top 4 race, try and get back into there, but to console getting a very good finish in the Europa League for next season. But for Everton here, they can win, get back to these Europa League spots, and that's where they can go and build a little bit here.
Yeah, both teams who have obviously had a good start to the season have had some really good patches. Obviously had some key players out with injury, but it's nice to see that Antonio will be playing again for West Ham. Obviously had a good performance last time out. It's an interesting game. Obviously, Everton, they look like they were down and out. Looks like they weren't going to get anything, but Europa League's still there for them. West Ham, they've got a brilliant opportunity with Chelsea playing Manchester City. If they get the win here, they'll be matching them. Obviously, they've gone for a bad run. just like Everton haven't been that great. Both teams have been a little bit, off form at the moment. And to be honest, I think they're a little bit cut from the same cloth. So I think they might cancel each other out in this game. I can't see anybody getting the winner in this one. I think both teams will definitely go for the win, but I think they're equally matched, and I'm going to go for a 2-2.
So it is Arsenal versus West Brom today, the last game for Sunday. And for Arsenal, Kieran Tierney, he can make his first league start for 5 weeks after a turn back from his knee problem as he played against Villarreal on Thursday. Granit Xhaka, he has pulled out of this game due to muscle complaints, and Cedric Hugh will be assessed because of illness. But for West Brom, Maitland-Niles, he's ineligible to play for this game as he's playing against his parent club, and Robert Snodgrass will miss the 4th consecutive game in a row because of a back problem. Piers here for Arsenal, a big game for them. They need to bounce back after that disappointing loss to Villarreal in the semi-finals of the Europa League. They now need to get Europe through the league, which is highly unlikely, but they are still mathematically possible to do it. But for West Brom here, if they lose another game here, their survival hopes are going to take a massive dent, and that could possibly be the end of their time in the Premier League this season.
Yeah, I mean, this game is actually, I mean, when you look at it on paper, you think Arsenal versus West Brom, it's not that much of a game, but it's a huge game for both teams. Both have sort of got a huge task ahead of them. Arsenal trying to get some sort of European football, and West Brom trying to stay in the league. It's a huge game, and I think it's going to be. I think it is going to be a tight game. I think Arsenal really need to show some fight. I think they need to show some passion. I think they need to show some bottle after the game midweek. And as recent, fans aren't happy with Arsenal. They're not happy with the board. They're not happy with the manager, and they're not happy with the players. And I think some of those people in that club need to put a performance in to show that they're good enough to stay at that club. West Brom, on the other hand, I think they've been shown that they've been fighting. They've been unlucky, but they put the performances in. And they put the pressure on, and if they pressure Arsenal enough, it's more than likely that Arsenal will crack. But as much as as terrible as they are, I think Arsenal will just get the win. This is what they do. They think they're down and out, and they get the result, and they always get these lucky results that will push them to where they need to go. So I think Arsenal will get the win, and I'm going to go for a 1-0.
So Town are home for the last time this season, and it's the final day of the season. They're looking for a strong end to the season. So Fleetwood are the team in question who are travelling down to Portland Road today. They're currently sitting in 15th after a disappointing season by their standards as they got into the playoffs last year. Dan, some exciting times around the club at the moment. Ed Sheeran, he's going to be the new sponsor for next year. We're all pumped about that, but there's still one more game to go for the end of the season. Can Ipswich Town end on a high here with 3 points, or will Fleetwood do the double over Town this year?
Yeah, this game, it just feels like a pointless game, doesn't it? Well, pretty much it is, but it's just a game that no one really wants to be involved in, I don't think. Players know it will be their last game. The managers and staff just want this to end. Fans just want it to end. So I'm not expecting a huge, performance and, our best team being picked and stuff like that. I think Fleetwood, you said they've had quite a disappointing season compared to last. Got playoffs last year. Probably would have expected to do better in this one. Hasn't turned out well for them. But it's still going to be a tough game. They've still got some decent players in that squad. But I think for the last game of the season, it's the last game. Doesn't really matter. I'm going to go all out. I'm going to predict a win for Ipswich. When was the last time that happened? 1-0 Town. Let's go.